tuning in today. This is Breaking Down the Borders, and I'm Linda Furiate. Joining me today is Zane Stein, a world-leading astrological expert on Chiron. Zane, welcome. Thanks for being with me today. How are you?
I'm fine. Thanks for having me.
Great. Well, I know you're speaking at the Breaking Down the Borders conference in November of this year, and you will be talking about Chiron. And your fascination with Chiron began back in the when it was first discovered in around 1977. How has your research influenced the astrological and astronomical communities?
Well, the astronomical, I've gotten some astronomers to look at astrology and work with astrologers, which is something that hasn't happened in thousands of years. And astrological, well, I was a very zealous researcher, and I basically, just like somebody who's quit smoking, he wants everybody to quit smoking. When I found Chiron, I pushed everybody to look into Chiron. You'll find Chiron basically all over in just about every bit of software that does astrology, in almost all astrological textbooks and ephemeris. And I don't think Chiron would be used very much, if at all, if it hadn't been for the initial work.
And then how would you define Chiron as an astrological body?
How would I define Chiron? Well, basically, it is, physically, it is actually a comet nucleus that never turned into a full-fledged comet. So it's unusual. It's not a planet. It's not an asteroid. It's basically a centaur. It's a whole classification all of itself. And astrologically, if I were to come up with a phrase for it, I like the one my mentor Al Morrison came up with. He called it an inconvenient benefic.
And what would that mean?
Your life is better as a result, but boy, does it feel like a pain in the you-know-where in the meantime.
Right. That's why it's referred to, I guess, as the wounded healer, right?
Yeah, the wounded healer basically comes from the story of the centaur Chiron, who was wounded by a poison that was incurable, but he was immortal, so he could heal everybody except himself. That's where the wounded healer concept came from.
What do you think the future holds for Chiron as an astrological or astronomical centaur or comet?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Well, I mean,
sorry.
do you think it's going to be reclassified at all? You know, where do we go just from a an astronomical standpoint? Well,
it's not going to be reclassified because it has two classifications.
Okay.
It is considered it's classed as a minor planet, and it's classed as a comet. It's got dual classification, which is kind of fitting considering that its symbol is a centaur, which is half human and half horse.
And then are there any astrological signs associated with Chiron?
Chiron doesn't rule a sign, and it's kind of good that it doesn't, because several thousand years from now it'll probably start turning into a comet and eventually melt, and then we'll lose the sign ruler. Okay. So it's kind of good. But I see the Chiron process as connected to something that begins at Virgo and is complete in Sagittarius. So that whole section of the zodiac is related to the Chiron process.
Okay. And then when is your talk for the Breaking Down the Borders conference?
It's on November 19th, which is a Friday, at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And if people want to learn more about your talk, is there a conference website or anything?
Yeah, it's astrologyconference.org.
Great. And then how can they learn more about Zane Stein and all of your work with Chiron?
Well, I have a website which is it's very easy to remember. It's zanestein.com/chiron.htm. So it's who I am and what I'm about.
Great. Now we're just about out of time. Is there anything else that you'd like to comment on regarding Chiron and your talk with the Breaking Down the Borders conference?
Only that Chiron has just recently decided to enter Pisces, and it's been about 50 years since it did it before. And if you look at your calendar, you'll see that was the beginning of the 60s. If you look at the news and what's going on around you, you're going to find a lot of parallels between the 60s and what's happening in the world today.
Sounds like we're going to do a lot of partying in a good way or bad way, right?
Yeah, two fish swimming in opposite direction.
Exactly. Well, Zane, I appreciate your time today. I'm Linda Furiate. See you around the globe.